Now, childhood is a poem where the poet is discussing, he is rather wondering when did his childhood passed away. Now, childhood is a golden period of a man's life. We realize this is the period which has its own charm. Here, the person is believed to be the most innocent one, right? He's away from all the vices of the society and he lives a life which is absolutely carefree without any kind of responsibilities, without any kind of burden. Now, at this point of time, the poet is a grown up man. He just thinks about his past and he's trying to recall the days, the incidents, and he's just trying to remind when his childhood passed away. Now, this is a fact of a man's growth, of a human's growth. We grow gradually. Growth is not in a day. Over the months, over the years, we grow. When we look back, when we have a glance at our pictures, our photographs, then we realize what changes life and age has brought in us, right? Now, this is one such poem where the poet here is not focusing much about the physical changes. Obviously, a child, when is born from an infant to a toddler to an adolescent and then to a mature person, there are various changes: physical, mental, social, and emotional changes in a person from a child to a man. In this poem, the poet is focusing not upon the physical changes, but the other changes, which the qualities, the virtues or the vices, the growth in terms of mentality, the growth in terms of, you can say, smartness, cleverness, right? What all he has attained or what all he has left behind because his childhood has passed away. So we find a feeling of remorse in the poet, right? I think I am quite clear with the theme, what the theme of the poem is. Now I'm reading out. I want one of you to read out the first stanza. Ankita, will you please read the first stanza?
Okay, ma'am. Uh, when did my childhood go? Was it I ceased to be 11? Was it the time I realized heaven could not be found in geography and therefore could not be? Was
Ankita, your
that the
voice is
day?
not audible. I think some connection error is there.
Okay, ma'am. When did my childhood go? Was it the day I ceased to be 11? Was it the time I realized that hell and heaven could not be found in geography and therefore could not be? Was that the day?
Okay. Now, here the poet is saying, when did my childhood go? Was it the day I ceased to be 11? Was it the time I realized that hell and heaven could not be found in geography and therefore could not be? Was that day? Now, first and foremost, you will notice that this particular line, when did my childhood go? Was it the day? Dash, 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 dash. This is repeated in every stanza throughout the poem, right? So this is the literary device used here is refrain. Please keep it in your mind when a particular sentence is repeated in the poem again and again to emphasize on something. That literary device used there is refrain. So in this poem throughout, you will find this line being repeated. Now, the poet is questioning himself. He's questioning himself actually. He says, when did my childhood go? Was it the day I ceased to be 11? Was it the day when I had finished 11 years of age and have entered into the 12th year? Or was it the time I realized that hell and heaven could not be found in geography? Right? Or was it the time when he understood the concept of hell and heaven? See, hell and heaven, I was explaining this thing to you yesterday also. Again, I'm repeating it. Hell and heaven is something like we learn countries, we learn states, we learn continents, we learn about lakes, oceans, rivers. These are the land masses or the water bodies, right? They can be found on the maps. They are these things are taught to us in geography, but the concept of hell and heaven, it's an abstract term. Somewhere it is the belief system, right? This is not found on any of the maps. This is not taught in geography classes, right? So the poet says, was it that time I grew up? Was it that time that my childhood had passed away when I understood that hell and heaven is not in geography and therefore could not be? Was that day? So therefore, because hell and heaven could not be found in geography, so was it that day? So we find that question mark here after every stanza because the poet is wondering, he is questioning himself, he shows that feeling of remorse and regret, right? Am I clear with the first stanza? 11th
Yes,
class,
ma'am.
am I
Yes,
clear with
ma'am.
the first stanza?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Please continue with the second stanza.
When did my childhood go? Was it the time I realized that adults were not all they seemed to be? They talked of love and preached of love, but didn't act so lovingly. Was that the day?
Right. Now, this thing, as I've told you in the theme itself, in the introduction itself, as a child grows from an infant to a toddler, from a toddler to an adolescent, from an adolescent to a mature person, a lot of emotional, social, and mental changes occur in a human being. Right? That's very natural. If you peep in yourself and if you realize what your behavior was when you were supposedly in fifth grade, and what was your behavior when you were in third grade, what was your behavior when you were not even going to school, so you will find those changes in them. Today when you look back, you might laugh at yourself. Oh, I did behave that manner. But over the years you have developed, you have refined, you have groomed yourself as a personality, right? But then according to the age, as in when the childhood passes away, there's certain vices which a person adopts, right? Here he says, was it the time I realized that adults were not all they seem to be? He says that was that time my childhood passed away when I realized that adults, what they actually pretended to be, what they preached or what they taught, it was not same, right? They didn't act accordingly. All they seemed to be, they never, was it the time I realized that the adults were not the same what they seemed to be? They talked of love and preached love. The elders or the adults, they talked about love and they taught love. They taught love to the young ones, to the children, but did not act so lovingly. But they were not acting so lovingly. Again, the point is that adults, they have those feelings of hatred, jealousy, competition, and all the vices are there, right? Which a child is devoid of. So was that the day? So the poet again here is questioning himself. It was that day when I realized that adults are not the same they seem to be. Was it that day when I realized that the elders or the adults, they talked of love and they taught love, they preached love, but they themselves didn't follow it. Right? Am I clear with the second stanza now?
Yes, ma'am.
Chali, let's move further. Please read the third one.
When did my childhood go? Was it when I found my mind was really mine to use whichever way I choose? Producing thoughts that were not those of other people, but my own and mine alone. Was that the day?
Okay. When did my childhood go? Was it when I found my mind was really mine? Now, obviously, when we grow up, we start thinking about it. Our decision power is developed. Our mind becomes more, a judgmental power is developed, right? And we start learning what's right and wrong. We start taking our own decisions. We look at each and everything, each and every situation from our own perspective. So here the poet points out that was it the time when that my childhood has passed away when I found that I have a mind and my mind is my own and it's my choice how to use it, right? Today when we say in my opinion, according to me, in my thoughts, so obviously that means this is something which which is my individuality. That is my mind, my brain, my opinion, my thoughts, my perspectives, right? So he says that was it the time when I realized that my brain, my mind was my own and I can use it in whichever direction I want to, producing thoughts that were not those of other people but my own and mine alone. So that individuality, developing of individuality, he understood. Was that the time when his childhood has passed away? So was that the day? Again, you can find that thing here. When did my childhood go? And ending, was that the day? So you can see the pattern in first three stanzas. Every stanza is starting from when did my childhood go and is ending with was that the day. So I hope it's very clear to you, which is the literary device used here.
Refrain.
Yes,
Refrain,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Refrain.
Yes, refrain. The purpose of refrain basically is to emphasize. For example, if you want to give a lot of importance to the topic which you are talking on, then there the poet uses refrain. So, third stanza we are through. Now we are coming to the fourth one. Sorry, yeah, this
Fourth.
one. This is the last stanza. Where did my childhood go? Where did my childhood go? It went to some forgotten place that is hidden in an infant's face. That's all I know. Now, throughout the poet is wondering, he's questioning himself. In the last stanza, we find that the poet is giving the reply, right? He himself was questioning, now he himself is replying back. What is he saying? Where did my childhood go? It went to some forgotten place. He feels that the childhood has gone to a place which now he has forgotten, that is hidden in an infant's face. That place is hidden in an infant's face. Means you will always find the childhood in an infant's face. As I told you, an infant is very charming. Little babies are very sweet. They're very cute. Because they're devoid of all kind of vices. There is no jealousy. There is no competition. No hatred. No feeling of actually letting anybody down. So there is no feeling at all. They just know they're there in their mom's lap. They are fed and they are happy with that. Nothing else they want. No desires. No wishes. Nothing at all. Right? So that charm, that beauty is there on an infant's face. So here the poet again somewhere he is indicating the beauty of childhood, right? The truthfulness and the honesty of childhood. He says that I have forgotten the place where my childhood has gone. Perhaps you can find it on an infant's face. It's hidden in an infant's face. That's all I know. He says, I do not understand. I do not know where has my childhood vanished. I feel it is still hidden in an infant's face. Am I clear with it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think we can stop here, Sakshi.